Live long and prosper. Remember that from Mr. Spock in Star Trek back in the day? Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 177 of our Supersize Your Business Annual Challenge. Today we're talking about physical health and well-being. All this month, physical health and well-being of ourselves in the Supersize You Annual Challenge, which is critically important to growing and scaling and building our businesses, as well as the physical aspects of our business. So what does this have to do with our business? We're talking about longevity, living long and prospering, living into our old age, or creating a business that creates a legacy and lives beyond us. My goal is to have businesses that live beyond me, not just create a short burst of energy and a little bit of flurry in the marketplace and then disappear. I want to create something that lasts, something that means something, something that's aligned with my purpose and why I'm here on planet Earth. So how do we do this in our business? Well, we consider a couple of things. In Supersize You, we talked about blue zones. There's a book by, I'm going to look up his name because I have not read this book, but I probably will because I'm curious now, by Dan Buettner, called The Blue Zone. And he studied and found out that people that live the longest and are the oldest tend to live in certain communities or certain areas. And they, even if they don't live together, they have certain habits in common. We want to build these into our life and also into our business. People have done a whole lot of studies on what makes a successful business. This is a solved problem. So people have, different entities have done that. And guess what? Human beings are the same as they have been for hundreds of years. Outside packaging changes, just like with our businesses. Industries come and go. Technology's changing faster than the speed of light, it feels like most days. But that's been my entire life. The world has changed so much from when I was a little girl and born to now. It's almost mind-boggling if you look back at it. But I just embrace it and say, this is awesome. What can we learn from this? So how do we think about our business? Do you think about your business and you're just in it for the short term? That is a choice. And if it matches your goals and objectives and values, great. If you're more like me and you want it to be here long after you're gone and you want to have had an impact on the world, you're probably thinking of different things than the average Joe, or I like to say the bro marketers, which really irritates my marketing friends, but it's true. A lot of them just use tracks and tips and strategies and things for short-term gain without considering the lifelong value of a customer, without considering the impact that it has on the world around them and the different shareholders and stakeholders in their business. Short-term focus, in my personal experience, has never been the best play when it comes to business success. If you want success, and again, you get to define success any way that you want, I say lasting positive impact on the world. If it doesn't make the world a better place, please do not listen to me. If you don't want to make the world a better place, please just turn off your phone right now. Click to something else. So, habits for longevity, we create for our personal lives and we create for our businesses. Habits like strengthening our systems, automating our systems. I am just now getting on board with AI and learning and figuring out, well, how can this make my life simpler and easier? And I started out with something that's important to me. I want to show up every day authentically as who I am. And people throw around the word authentic. If you've watched any of my stuff, you know what you see is what you get. And I'm okay with that because that's who I am. And I want to set the example for other people, knowing that they can just show up and be who they are as well. Because when we're being who we are and true to our core, our goals and values and objectives and mission and principles and purpose, other people will do the same. People do what we do, not what we say they should do, or that we say we're going to do and then not do it. I did a core values exercise yesterday, so that's top of mind today. What else do I want to say about longevity and social connection? I think that community is playing a much bigger role in the longevity and the impact that our businesses have on the rest of the world. And that's a component that probably, I know when I started in business, I didn't take into account. It was just like, what's my local market? What are we going to do today? And now it's more like we have the ability to have a global impact. We can literally, a person in their little corner of the world can have an impact on billions of people because of technology, the internet, AI, the ability to reach heights that we never could have even imagined. At least I couldn't have imagined them in my youth. Okay, maybe in my wildest dreams, but otherwise, no. So how do we go about doing it? And it all starts with the framework of what we really want, right? What do we want to create in the world with our business? And if you haven't mapped that out, I say take a day or a couple of hours and spend some quiet time with a notebook and a piece of paper and just start mapping it out. Start visioning and creating what is it that you want to create in the world? What kind of an impact do you want to have? That is how you start to begin and build your long-term legacy. No matter what you've done up until now, you can always change, right? We can always change our mind, change our habits, create a different business, and create the businesses that we want. I've been involved in 27 businesses. Some of them sucked the life out of me. And that's how I learned that it wasn't the right industry and the right business for me. They're still great businesses. People make a ton of money in them. They help a lot of people, but they don't feel right to me because they're not lined up with who I am and how I want to show up in the world. If you hang out with me long enough, I'm sure you'll hear about the ones, the good, the bad, and the ugly, just like the good, the bad, and the beautiful. So today, pick one habit or one thing that you're going to do or pay attention to in your business to help with the staying power, the longevity, building something greater than yourself, building something greater that matches with a greater purpose than just making money. You know, so many people think business is just about making money. And for a lot of people it is, but for a lot of us, it's way more than that. Today we are actually talking about the U in our super framework. Yesterday we picked a goal, we specified the target for that goal, so we know where we want to go with this physical area and aspect of our business. I don't know what you picked, but you can think about what you picked as you look at today's step, which is to uncover what is. We need to figure out, okay, this is where we want to be. Where are we really? We need to be brutally honest with ourselves, ask ourselves some questions. What I find, sometimes we get mired in and are too close to the situation, and it's challenging for us to really see and be honest about that. We can ask other people, or we can do the wants, do not wants tool and strategy. I found that when I ask 10 people what they want, 8 or 9 of them will not be able to tell me. They'll just start firing off all the things that they don't want. If you've ever called and talked to your clients and your customers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The vast majority of people on the planet have been trained to have a negative slant. So we can really easily name off all the things we don't want, but maybe the things we want are a little bit harder to just click out. So what I like to do is I like to make a don't wants list. It's whatever pops into my head, I just start writing it down. And then I look at that and I'm like, well, this is something I clearly don't want, is not going to get me toward my goal and objective. So I will take the opposite of that and then ask myself, well, will that get me there? And if it will, then it goes on the list. I just make out a whole brainstormed list of this. And I usually do it when I take a walk or I go outside or I have some quiet time. And it takes like maybe 5 minutes at the most, no matter how complicated your business is. Don't tell me, oh, my business is too complicated, I can't possibly do this. So then I would say you're picking too big a thing to apply this exercise to. Not that there's anything that is too big to apply this exercise, the super framework to. But pick one thing. What is one specific thing that you will know in 5 days if the process has worked for you or not? That's my challenge to you today. Instead of picking, some big grandiose thing like we want to expand to 100 markets by the end of the year. Really? Physically? Okay. Don't get me wrong. That's entirely possible depending on what you got set up, what you've done in the past, etc. Anything is possible. If you believe it is, you can make it happen. There's always a way. All right. What are we going to do? What are we going to share? What should we share in the comments below? Share in the comments below that you've done the you and that you know what your current situation is, because that forms the gap between where we are and where we want to be. Yesterday we came up with where we want to be, and today we're coming up with where we are. Why? Because I like to have processes that mix things up a little bit. It's basically a very similar process to the SOAP framework, right? Pretty much all of our annual processes are, how do we get to what we want from where we are? Filling in the gap. How do we fill the gap? Almost every process I've found, we all have patterns. That is one of my patterns. Ooh, I'm saying it out loud. I'm telling you, this is one of my patterns. And I know it is. And do you know why it is? Because I've successfully used it probably close to hundreds of thousands of times for sure. could be 1 million, because my brain automatically thinks in these now. What's going on? What do I want? They don't match. How am I going to get there? How am I going to get there the fastest and the easiest and the simplest way? All right, let's do it. If I can help you in any way, hit me up and ask. Otherwise, if you want more of this, there could be more of this, join me on the Supersize Your Business School platform. I'm changing the About page for that and the Welcome page, because I realized I am targeting a group of people that there aren't really that many of. So I want to actually open it up for people that want to become that group of people that I work with one-on-one and in cohorts and in masterminds and inner circles and things. But in order to do that, we have to help them to become that, right? Hello. I had that epiphany the other day, and I'm like, well, that's duh. All right, if I can help you, ask. Otherwise, have an amazing day. If you want to join the school community, just put Supersize in the comments below, and I will send you the invitation. Otherwise, I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye. Live long and prosper.